What's going on, everybody? So today's topic is going to be the topic of male birth control and my thoughts about it. All right. Advances in the pharmaceutical industry have given women almost 100% control over their reproductive destinies. Women have pills, shots, patches, condoms, and weird little devices they have surgically implanted inside of them that can prevent them from becoming pregnant. The effectiveness of these methods are about 99.9% effective when used correctly. Not only do women have a plethora of birth control options that are nearing 100% effective, they also have abortion rights, adoption, and safe haven laws. What do men have? A surgery yielding permanent sterilization, abstinence, and condoms, which, while protecting men and women alike from unwanted pregnancies and STDs, condoms do take over half of the pleasure and stimulation out of sex. Having sex with a condom is like eating a popsicle with the wrapper still on it. Women get the privilege to decide when, where, how, and whether or not they want to be parents regardless of the circumstances surrounding their conception. The concept of male birth control has been entertained since 1957, when Gregory Pincus, a man who contributed to the creation of the female contraceptive pill, attempted to create a male birth control pill by using the same hormonal approach on men. In the past decade, however, the possibility of male birth control is becoming more promising, with numerous scientists conducting research and clinical trials, all claiming that they are nearing a breakthrough. This naturally has intrigued men across the world, while getting mixed reviews from women. Some women are all about men finally having their own form of birth control, and some women oppose it. The women that support male birth control, naturally, only support it for self-serving reasons. They do not genuinely give a shit about men finally having the luxury of deciding when, where, and how they are going to become a parent, regardless of how irresponsible they were with their genitalia. They see it as a way to pass off some of the side effects and inconveniences they face using their birth control onto men. Example of this: finally, I don't have to try to remember to take a pill every day and deal with these cramps anymore. Now you can deal with this shit. Remember, anything that solely benefits men, women will not support it. Women will only support an opportunity and advancement for men if they have something to gain from it. Even if the gain is something as small as not having to set a reminder alarm to take a pill once a day. The women that oppose male birth control provide a lot of reasoning as to why they oppose it, most, if not all, being disingenuous bullshit. Some women claim they are against it because, in their eyes, men don't need birth control. They just need to be more responsible with their penises, or something to that effect. Some women oppose it because they believe that the money being spent on the research would be better suited for something they deem more important, meaning the mere idea of money being spent on medical research to manufacture something that will provide convenience and control for men instead of them makes them foam at the mouth like a rabid wolf. Some women oppose it because of religious reasons. Now, this is rare, but the super religious women who believe the only time they ought to be fucking is to, quote, bring another blessing into the world, they still exist. Now, those are just 3 examples of the reasonings I have heard, not only in person, but have read online. I'm sure there is a multitude of reasoning for female descent to male birth control aside from the 3 I've mentioned, but anyone familiar with female nature and the female mind knows that 99% of the reasoning for their opposition is some bullshit lie used to mask the true reason. The 3 most notorious utilities women use to gain control and power over a man and his resources are sex, the institution of marriage, and reproduction. Now that we live in a time where sex is easier for a man to get than it ever has been for him in the past, due to the plethora of dating and hookup sites, sex is becoming less and less useful as a means to gain power and control over a man because he knows he can always go to Backpage or Craigslist and make a donation to a struggling single mother. The institution of marriage is still a pretty powerful means to gain power and control over a man and his resources to this day, but since the implementation of the uncontested no-fault divorce, aka the $500 divorce, in the 70s, some women have decided they would rather just get a quick and easy divorce and monkey branch on to the next pogo stick instead of spending a bunch of time going back and forth to court in order to chop her husband in half, who probably didn't have that much to begin with. Not only that, in the past 68 years, the marriage rate has dropped from 90.1 to 30.2 per every 1,000 men, Meaning more men are finally becoming aware of the risk-to-benefit ratio in terms of marriage. To this day, reproduction is the most powerful and surefire way to gain control over a man's life and resources. Women know damn good and well that a quick and foolproof way to establish an income similar to that of someone who has a degree and works full-time, while only putting forth probably about 2% of the effort, as well as turning someone into her own personal indentured servant, is getting pregnant by a wealthy man. If this wasn't the case, you would never hear stories about women poking holes in condoms or digging up the discarded condoms out of her waistband that a wealthy man was unfortunate enough to throw in there and impregnating herself manually using his dumpster babies. You would never hear about women lying to men and claiming that they are on birth control when they are, in fact, not. You would never hear about women claiming that they are incapable of reproduction due to some made-up medical condition as a way to coerce a man into hitting it raw. You would never hear about an already pregnant woman who got knocked up by a broke guy desperately trying to convince a more resourceful man to splash inside of her so she can pin the child on him. Now, we hear stories like this all the time, and I'm certain some of us either know someone who has been a victim of this ourselves, or have known women that have done this to some man. Reproduction essentially provides a source of income for women, and to make male contraceptive would be fucking up what will eventually become the last means of power and control women have over men and their resources. Women know this, but will never admit it. Instead, they will make up other reasons as to why they don't support male contraceptive, and for the few women out there who think they are in support of it at the moment, will quickly reconsider once they realize that the days of just simply getting pregnant by a wealthy guy as a means to making a living are over. Now, it's not just women in particular that have a lot to lose in the wake of male contraceptive. The family court system would also stand to lose billions of dollars per year. The family court system capitalizes off of divorce and child custody disputes. Lawyers make a killing providing their services to divorcing spouses. Family court judges make a killing facilitating these divorces and receiving campaign contributions from suck-up, ass-kissing attorneys, and the government makes money off of child support obligations. To my knowledge, the percentage is not really known, but on every child support statement, it is indicated that the government took a certain amount of the money paid by the obligee for themselves. I remember when I myself was paying child support through the state, my obligation was $415 per month. My child's mother would tell me that of that $415 per month, she would only receive $382 per month. So where the fuck did that money go? Big Pharma also stands to lose billions of dollars a year if male contraceptive was ever created. Now, I'm no medical expert, but based off of the differences in biology between men and women, I'm willing to bet that if a male contraceptive was ever made, it would be a lot cheaper to manufacture than women's contraceptive and probably sell a lot cheaper too. It's just a theory of mine. If that was the case, then Big Pharma would take a huge monetary hit due to the amount of men who would use the male contraceptive, thus leading to women seeing no need to continue their use of their contraceptive. Male contraceptive would also shorten the amount of men falling behind on child support that can be thrown into America's for-profit prison system. Creating a male contraceptive and giving men control over when, where, and how they become parents would be fucking with a lot of people's money. Women, family court, government, and the prison industrial complex all stand to lose a ton of money in the event of men having 100% control over their reproductive destinies. It's common knowledge that most pregnancies are unplanned, and that in the majority of those cases, the men are not ready to be fathers and just simply do not want to be fathers, but do not have a choice. Sure, they could say, well, I don't want to be a dad, and chuck the deuces, but soon enough he'll get a letter in the mail from the Division of Child Support Enforcement telling him he has a child support hearing in 2 weeks. Now, I'm willing to bet that 95% of men would use contraceptive if it was ever created for them. A lot of young men enjoy sex, but usually aren't quite ready to be parents. And a lot of the times, they will even disclose this to the women they are sleeping with. Now, people are going to tell me that if they don't want to be parents, then they should keep it in their pants, or use condoms. But why can't we tell the same exact thing to women whenever they walk into a Planned Parenthood requesting an abortion? Why is it legal for a woman to drop her baby off at a fire station? Why is it when women drop their babies off at fire stations, they're not hooked for child support? same thing with adoption. Why is it that when they give their kid up for adoption, they're not hooked for child support? Why is it perfectly okay for women to absolve all of their parental obligations penalty-free, while men have to suck it up and pay that child support, even though men and women are both educated on the potential outcomes of sex? To the men listening in, I wouldn't hold your breath when it comes to male birth control. The only people that have something to gain from male contraceptive is men. Men have a lot to gain, and everyone else has a lot to lose. My prediction is that if some scientist somewhere in the world finally engineered a male birth control, either one of two things would happen. One, the government would put a stop to it right off the bat. Or two, it would be manufactured and sold to men for a while, until feminists and women in general began to protest it heavily and beg their big daddy government to put a stop to it. Everyone knows that America and Western countries alike are completely gynocentric and will submit to the demands of women at every turn. The best thing for men to do at this point is to pack up their balls and go home until we see the justice we need. I wouldn't hold your breath, though. Alright, that's all I got to say for today. Thanks for listening in. Like, subscribe, share, do what you got.